Wonderful. So she's asked one of the core practices in the Hindu tradition is the cremation of bodies. And there are places like Varanasi in which that's the sheer number of bodies that are being cremated on a daily basis is phenomenal. And so she's asking about, as the water level gets more and more polluted, what's the future relationship and interaction between the performance of our religious duties and the care for our water? Wonderful. So, yeah, people with cameras are allowed to go anywhere. There's a piece of this, of theory, and a piece of practice, and I'm going to give you both because we're actually doing a lot of specific work. Let me begin with it in theory, and then we'll move into the practice. When we speak about lowercase t truth and capital T truth, that's, I was saying it referring to us here. But it's also really true about the truth that is given to us in our religious backgrounds. There are many tenets, principles, that are timeless and eternal. The world is a family. Everything in the universe is pervaded by God. Love thy neighbor as thyself. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. I mean, these are the sorts of really universal tenets. I've taken them specifically out of different religious texts, but the sorts of universal principles that no time, no place, no experience would render obsolete or incorrect. And then we have aspects which were very true at a particular time and place, at a particular type of world, with a particular type of society. And these are what tend to be our practices. And of course, society has practices as well, but we'll talk just about religious practices. Otherwise, we'll spend all night just on this. So, religion has certain practices, and one of them, as you've raised, is the practice in Hinduism of cremation. There's many reasons behind it. The reasons actually are very beautiful. A, you're not taking up space in the ground. B, you're not creating a place where people come to connect with you, because the belief is that I'm not in this body. And so when you bury the body, it creates a sense for all of the loved ones that if they can just go there and put flowers on the grave, that's actually where I am. And inherent and very deeply embedded in this tradition is the distinction between the soul and the body, and how it's only the body that's died. And so the idea of creating a place where people would go and put flowers on the body is something that is not in line with the religion. And the idea that we are made of the 5 elements. We go back to the 5 elements. Ash is one of the greatest fertilizers. So we have really done the job of nature. I mean, eventually a body would decompose anyway, but rather than waiting for nature to do its work, we've helped it along and have given it this ash to serve in the soil. So there's a lot of reasons why it actually was a beneficial practice for a long time, why the tenets have been held so deeply. But then you come into a situation in which the water's polluted. There's too many people. Trees are being cut down. The sheer amount of wood required to burn a body is A, more than most poor people can afford, B, certainly more than the forests can afford. And so we're now in a situation of saying, well, how can we adapt? And we are adapting. And one of the things that's actually happening under Pujya Swamiji's guidance and leadership and inspiration is a push for what's called a green crematorium. Because we, of course, have electric crematoriums, but the sensibilities of people are that until and unless it's done with the wood in the proper way, with the family members putting the ghee onto it, putting the camphor onto it, watching it burn, that sense of final rites having been done according to tradition isn't really there, to just stick them on, a gurney and that, or in a casket, and that gets pushed into a big metal thing, and then someone flips the switch. It doesn't have within it that sanctity that so many are wanting. And so a technology has been developed, which under Pujya Swamiji we've been working to get not just implemented in an official way, but something to get public support for and public demand for, which is a green crematorium, where it's still wood, but it's about 1/6 of the amount of wood that's needed in a regular cremation. So you don't end up in a situation where poor people are pushing half-burned bodies back into Ganga because they just didn't have the money to buy enough wood to burn it completely. And we're not deforesting our forests so much. It's a technology in which the wood is done in a certain way and the pyre is made in a certain way, and how that fire is made stronger and hotter, such that the cremation is done faster and with much less wood. So there's a push for that. There's a push amongst the religious leaders for burial rather than what's called jal samadhi, which is because they don't burn saints anyway. And so with the saints, what they do is they actually put the body as is into the river. And so Pujya Swamiji's been working with the whole saint community to actually end that practice and to bury the saints in proper ways. So the work is on, and I have full faith that as long as we have visionary leaders who are not stuck with the letter of the law, but rather understand the spirit of the law and are able to take that and adapt it into the current situation, that we absolutely will be able to address this. Yes?